With connections to the American presidency, doom and death metal bands, and a certain king of pop, Dave Grohl's life and legacy is a lot more surprising than you probably realize. Dave Grohl grew up in Virginia in a modest home, and his parents weren't musicians or anything like that. His mother Virginia taught English, while his dad James worked closely with local Republican politicians, including writing speeches and running the campaign of Ohio Senator Robert Taft Jr. If that last name sounds familiar, it should. His father Robert Sr. was also a senator known as Mr. Republican, and his grandfather William was President of the United States from 1909 to 1913. After Taft Jr. lost his Senate seat, James was offered a position working for Bob Dole, but he turned it down. James was probably okay with that, though, as Dole went on to lose a vice presidential bid, as well as the 1996 presidential election. As for politics within the Grohl family, Dave has always been liberal, but that hasn't led to too many quarrels with his staunchly conservative father. Grohl started reaching out to his musical idols from quite a young age. Ian MacKaye, the frontman of Minor Threat and Fugazi, was one of Grohl's favorites. So when he was just 14, he wrote to him, but this wasn't just some sappy fan letter. Grohl was too practical for that. He wrote instead, "Good thrash. So I was wondering if you could give me some numbers of people to get in touch with. It would help. Thanks." Grohl even left his phone number and specific hours to call him, between 3 o'clock and 10 o'clock. If MacKaye wanted to get in touch with him in the morning, that simply wasn't going to work for the teenage Grohl. MacKaye was so touched that he ended up holding on to the letter for years.
Does that mean that he saved every letter that
Ian
anybody ever wrote him?
MacKaye
Because he wouldn't have known.
is a meticulous collector.
Though Grohl had musical aspirations from a young age, he was originally in a very different type of rock-based industry. While working at a nursery in Virginia, he performed manual labor that consisted of physically breaking rocks all day. Though he was playing drums at the time, he didn't think that could be a career, so his professional goals were far more mundane. As he told Rolling Stone in 2014, "At one point I thought, I know how to play drums. I'll learn to read music, become a session drummer, and from that money I'll put myself back through school." Grohl thought he would just get a regular job in Washington, D.C. Thankfully, he committed to music instead. Dave Grohl was a big part of Nirvana's breakout success, but he wasn't the grunge band's first drummer. In fact, he was the sixth, or seventh if you count Bob McFadden, who's rarely spoken of in Nirvana history. Then there was Aaron Burkhardt, who was followed by Dale Crover and Dave Foster. Then for 2 years, Chad Channing stuck around, though he too was eventually replaced by Mudhoney's Dan Peters.
They were a funny band, you know. I think they hadn't really found the right drummer yet.
When Grohl auditioned, Peters didn't know that he was potentially being replaced. But Grohl impressed Nirvana with his maniacally energized performance with the band's Scream, and then brought the heat again when he auditioned privately. He didn't even need to finish his first song before the band knew he was the perfect fit. Kurt Cobain gave Peters a call to tell him that he was no longer in the band, which came as a surprise since just weeks earlier they were planning a European tour. Nirvana grinded away in relative obscurity for years and then experienced incredible success practically overnight. But that sudden influx of fame and fortune certainly didn't change Dave Grohl. He told Rolling Stone in 2014, "When Nirvana got popular, I was renting a house with a friend. I had a futon, a lamp, and a dresser for my clothes. 10 million records later, I was still in that back room with the futon, lamp, and dresser." Since then, Grohl has moved on to an actual mattress, though he's never gone overboard with his purchases. He owns quite a few guitars and a nice house, but no golden statues or fancy cars or anything like that.
Every check you make, you got to treat it like it's the last one you're ever going to make.
Even though Grohl was the only drummer Kurt Cobain was ever really happy with, that didn't mean they always got along. Case in point, during rehearsals for their episode of MTV Unplugged, Cobain thought that his bandmate's drumming was a little too loud for the intimate setting, and he almost banned Grohl from the show completely.
How did you function in that band?
It was great.
Unplugged producer Alex Coletti later recalled, "If the drummer doesn't really get it under control and tries to play a rock show on a smaller kit, then it brings the show to a bad-sounding electric show instead of a good-sounding acoustic show." So instead of kicking Grohl out of the studio, Coletti got him a pair of swizzle sticks and wire brushes, which allowed him to play softer without losing intensity. Grohl accepted his new tools and played the show without a hitch. During his time with Nirvana, Grohl didn't get a chance to do much songwriting or figure out his solo musical voice. But before Nirvana, he would record drum tracks with a friend on an old 8-track player, and ended up recording every part of an entire song all on his own. That song led to an offer to record his own album on a small cassettes-only label called Simple Machines, which was run by musician Jenny Toomey. As Grohl recalled to Time Out in 2011, "When she asked me if I wanted to do it, I said, yeah, sure, but I don't want to call it the Dave Grohl Band. Let's call it something else. Oh, I called it Late because I'm an idiot and I thought it would be funny to say to everybody, sorry, we're late." The one and only album from Late, Pocket Watch, was released in 1991, a year after Nirvana's Nevermind. The label was so small that Toomey had to copy tapes from a double-decker boombox at her house whenever supplies of Pocket Watch ran low. The experience proved to be great practice for Grohl's eventual one-man recording of the first Foo Fighters album. In January 2009, Dave Grohl celebrated his 40th birthday at a Medieval Times restaurant. It was there that he decided to set himself up on a blind date with two guests, former Led Zeppelin bassist John Paul Jones and Queens of the Stone Age frontman Josh Homme. The next day, the three of them met up in a recording studio. They dubbed themselves them Crooked Vultures and proceeded to make an album in complete secrecy. Grohl later told Classic Rock magazine, "We knew how special it was and how good it was and that we were doing something meaningful. It was just three guys getting together to play. It was freeform and it was improvisational." Their self-titled album was well received, and the trio decided to do some live dates, including a sold-out tour and a headlining spot at Coachella. As Grohl recounted, "I sort of thought it would just be a studio project that we'd do kind of quickly, and then it turned into an 8-month-long recording process and an actual tour. Now it's a whole other experience." In 2022, Grohl and his Foo Fighters bandmates starred in their first ever major motion picture. Blending comedy and supernatural horror, Studio 666 focused on the band recording an album in a haunted Los Angeles mansion.
Foo Fighters, oh, I thought this time would never come.
Grohl had actually been approached years earlier by a studio that wanted to make a Foo Fighters horror movie, but as he recalled to Variety, he responded, "That's the stupidest f***ing idea I've ever heard in my entire life." Eventually, though, he reconsidered. News of Studio 666 first emerged in November 2021 and came as a complete surprise to fans, as the whole thing had been shot in secrecy. Grohl revealed to Rolling Stone, "We were trying to make a big deal out of the fact that we had recorded in a haunted house and it would just be bam and drop this f***ing movie out of nowhere." Grohl has always had eclectic tastes, and he certainly didn't try to hide them during his time with Nirvana. In 1993, sessions were booked to record In Utero, the band's follow-up to Nevermind. One song that was recorded, but that ultimately didn't make the final cut, was Onward into Countless Battles, a cover of a song originally recorded by Swedish death metal band Unleashed. Grohl played all the instruments, while Kurt Cobain added the vocals. During an interview with the Swedish magazine Close Up, Grohl recalled that his band was in Brazil at the time and a studio had been booked, but he was the only one who turned up. He said, "So I took this riff and recorded it on my own." While the recording never saw the light of day, it almost emerged as a bonus track on the Nirvana box set With the Lights Out in 2004. Ultimately, though, Grohl felt that an Unleashed song really had no place in a Nirvana collection. In addition to his music, Grohl has carved out a steady side hustle as a documentary filmmaker. He first stepped behind the camera to direct some of Foo Fighters' music videos, like My Hero and All My Life. Then he made his documentary feature debut in 2013 with Sound City, about the famed Los Angeles recording studio.
Sound City was a place where real men went to make records.
Grohl's next project was even more ambitious, the 2014 HBO docuseries Sonic Highways. In each episode, he and the other Foo Fighters would visit a different city and explore its musical heritage, then record a song using lyrics drawn from Grohl's experience in each locale. After a few years away from directing, Grohl got back in the documentary game in 2021 with What Drives Us, in which rockers ranging from Ringo Starr to AC/DC frontman Brian Johnson and Red Hot Chili Peppers bassist Flea share their early experiences driving from gig to gig in a van. Then there was From Cradle to Stage, in which Grohl and other rock stars reveal the childhood experiences that shaped them. Interviewing his colleagues came naturally to Grohl because he felt that they spoke the same language, with one major exception.
Steven Tyler from Aerosmith.
Yeah, Steven Tyler was very Steven Tyler-y in the documentary.
At some point in his life, Grohl became enamored of the bizarre Swedish satanic doom metal band Ghost. He was such a big fan that he even stepped in to produce their 2013 EP If You Have Ghost, which included unexpected covers of songs from artists ranging from ABBA to Depeche Mode. Ghost had been slated to record some B-sides in Nashville, and the band wound up meeting Grohl at a music festival. One of Ghost's band members, known as Nameless Ghouls, told Music Radar, "We both have understandings of pop, classic rock, extreme metal, and punk. Very quickly, we were saying, wow, it'd be great to do something together someday." And as luck would have it, Dave said, "Well, I just happen to have a break right now." Grohl has a reputation for moving fast, so it was no surprise that the album was completed at a breakneck pace. The Nameless Ghoul added, "Dave had an incredible work ethic and a lot of energy. He worked for 10 hours a day and really got stuff done. That was pretty inspiring." Grohl has made some memorable cameos on various artists' songs, including David Bowie's cover of Neil Young's I've Been Waiting for You, the Bangles' Grateful, and Paul McCartney's Cut Me Some Slack. But perhaps his most unexpected guest spot ever happened when he drummed for Michael Jackson, or at least attempted to. The song was I Can't Make It Another Day, a collaboration between Jackson and Lenny Kravitz that appeared on the posthumous 2010 album Michael. The collaboration came together when Grohl met Kravitz at an award ceremony. As Grohl recalled to Classic Rock magazine, "So I call him up and he says, 'Do you want to play drums on a Michael Jackson song? There's a song that me and Michael worked on in 1992, but it never came out and I want to finish it. And I'd love to have your huge drums on the chorus.'" Working with producer Butch Vig, Grohl recorded what he believed was an epic drum track. When he finally heard the song, though, it wasn't exactly what he was expecting. He said, "You know what they used? One snare hit. That's it. I don't know who's playing drums on it, but it ain't me. It says featuring Dave Grohl." And it's like, it does? I can't hear me in that. It's funny.
Not quite my tempo.
Even with all of his professional pursuits, Dave Grohl still has time for some hobbies, including skeet shooting. During a 2002 interview with Kerrang, he advised, "Beginners should start with the 20 gauge, because the butt of the gun will throw your shoulder out if you're not used to it. My preferred gun is the 12 gauge, an all-rounder." While Grohl has never shot a perfect 25 out of 25 score, he has come close with a 23. He doesn't consider himself to be especially competitive, though. As he explained, "It's meant to be fun, so afterwards you can have a drink with your buddies." Although the clubhouse is a lot more white trash than a golf clubhouse. Grohl also emphasized the importance of gun safety while quipping, "It's like a video game, except you can smell the sulfur." And Grohl wasn't afraid to toot his own horn during a 2021 interview with Us Weekly when he declared, "I love skeet shooting, and I'm a damn good shot."
After Nirvana broke up in 1994 following the tragic suicide of frontman Kurt Cobain, Grohl found himself in high demand, and he was soon offered an amazing job as the drummer for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. For his audition, Grohl played with the band on Saturday Night Live. No pressure. Naturally, Grohl killed it, but he decided to turn down the offer of a permanent position because he wanted to do his own music. It would prove to be the right choice. Following his brief stint with the Heartbreakers, Grohl went into the studio intending to record some demos for some songs he was working on. He came out with an entire album, playing every instrument on every song except for one guitar part on a solitary track. Grohl has been married to his wife, Jordan Blum, since 2003, and they have 3 daughters together. His romantic life hasn't always been so rosy, however. He was in a high-profile relationship in 1998 with Louise Post of Veruca Salt, until he dumped her via long-distance phone call, simply because he wanted to hook up with Winona Ryder. What's sadder, Post got the call right before a Veruca concert, and she got so drunk she could barely play. Those bad romances came in the wake of Grohl's first marriage to Jennifer Youngblood, which ended in divorce in 1997 due to his infidelities, but it also led to a professional split. Foo Fighters guitarist Pat Smear is very good friends with Youngblood. When the divorce happened, he sided with Youngblood, so much so that he left the Foo Fighters, eventually reconciling with the band years later. Foo Fighters are one of the few bands in recent memory that transcend genre or demographics. It seems like everybody loves them, even grumpy old David Letterman. In 2015, he invited the band to be the last ever musical guest on his last ever late night show. He had but one request: play their 1997 hits Everlong. So why the Foos, and why Everlong? Back in 2000, Letterman had open heart surgery. Afterwards, he had one request: he wanted the Foo Fighters to play his show. After the death of Kurt Cobain and the end of Nirvana, there was no love lost between Grohl and Cobain's widow, Courtney Love. For 20 years, Grohl and Love took turns suing each other over the rights to Nirvana's music, while taking petty potshots at each other in public.
I've never written a song about him, so I'm going to sing you one right now.
Okay.
When the drummer tries to sing, everybody better hide. When the drummer tries to sing, God, let's all go inside. Oh yeah, all of you that love all things Foo. Dave, I have to tell you, Kurt hated you.
In recent years, though, the hostility has subsided, with the pair even embracing when Nirvana was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2014.
I mean, look, if you can give up a grudge like that, because there was a lot of crap that went on, I think anyone could do it.
Former drum god Grohl never had any sort of formal guitar training, even admitting to Rolling Stone that he still doesn't know what chords he's playing on songs like Everlong. You know, one of the Foo Fighters' 3 most famous songs ever. But he devised a method that works for him, mastering the 6th string by approaching it like a set of drums. He told the mag, "The low E string is the kick drum, the A and D strings are snares, the G, B, and high E are the cymbals."
You just need 3 chords and a big heart, you know?
As a member of Them Crooked Vultures with John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin and Josh Homme of Queens of the Stone Age, Dave Grohl knows supergroups. But if we're talking supergroups, we have to mention one of the biggest rock assemblages of all time. In 2015, Italy's Fabio Zaffanini organized a project called the Rockin' 1000, where 1,000 musicians got together and played Foo Fighters' 1999 hit Learn to Fly. Grohl posted a thank you video on the Foo Fighters Facebook page, and then showed up for a concert in Zaffanini's hometown of Cesena, Italy a few months later. Grohl drums, he plays guitar, he sings, and he's pretty funny too. Foo Fighters videos are usually comedic. Think the Mentos parody of Big Me or the accidental drugging of a flight crew by Jack Black and Kyle Gass of Tenacious D in Learn to Fly. Grohl and Black are actually friends and frequent collaborators. Grohl once spent 7 hours in the makeup chair to play the devil in the Tenacious D movie The Pick of Destiny.
Well, I just want to say that I'm a huge fan. I always have been.
One other Black Grohl joint that you probably haven't seen is the 2003 video for the Foo's song Low because MTV banned it for content. It features Black and Grohl as a couple of good old country boys who check into a hotel room, get drunk, and then put on women's clothing and have a torrid night of passionate lovemaking, all caught on a night vision camera, Paris Hilton style. Big Me is still one of the greatest music videos of all time, and provides the backdrop to a bunch of hilarious Mentos parody ads. But sadly, people took the video a little too seriously, and thought it would be cool to chuck Mentos at the stage whenever the band performed Big Me live. Grohl said, "Every time we played it, it would just start raining Mentos, and them motherfuckers hurt. We did a show in Canada, and someone threw a pack, and it hit me right in the face. I was so pissed I picked it up and said, it's been 10 years since that video." For a while, the band stopped playing the song live. Thanks a lot, Mentos. If you came across Grohl's home today, you'd probably be surprised. There are no guards, gates, or high fences. Just a little sign out front that reads, "The Grohls." It's even more surprising that Grohl has such a simple family home in the Los Angeles area because he used to hate the place. He said in Paul Brannigan's book This Is a Call, The Life and Times of Dave Grohl, "It's kind of funny for a while, then annoying, then depressing. Finally, it gets terrifying because you start wondering if these people are rubbing off on you. It's like one giant frenzy of aspiration and lies." It makes sense, though, considering Grohl has always had a pragmatic side. Montage of Heck is an in-depth, family-approved documentary of Kurt Cobain's life. But Grohl wasn't first in line to see it. When his wife turned on the film, Grohl couldn't stand to watch it. He told the Washington Post, "All the footage of him as a child, I think might make me sad, and then the dark stuff at the end I think would bum me out." Dave's mom, Virginia Grohl, is revealing the life of the Grohl family from a mother's perspective.
What's up with the picture of me and the cowboy hat and the red pants? I have like a full diaper in that photo, Mom.
That's my favorite picture in the whole book.
Titled From Cradle to Stage, her book recalls memories of Dave's childhood, his growing stardom, and parent interviews of other rock star kids, including the family of Michael Stipe, Gary Clark Jr., Pharrell Williams, Haim, Zach Brown, and Dr. Dre. Grohl wrote a sweet message on Instagram to his mother as her book debuted, posting, "Every musician remembers his first lesson. Mine was in the front seat of a beige Ford Maverick rolling through Springfield, Virginia on a sweltering hot summer day in 1975. My teacher? My mother, Miss Virginia Hanlon Grohl."
Well, wait till I write my book, Mom.
Yeah.
My Full Diaper by Dave Grohl.
It's a great title, actually.